G'day folks and welcome to the channel. My name is Matt.
My name's Lena.
And today we're going to be talking about the ghost owls found in the old swamp. And we're also going to share our creative process with you, which might help you in creating your own world building project. So what we're going to be talking about today is our development with the swamp and the Croco Hunters. We're going to figure out what they are and what they're doing there. We'll be talking about their story arc and how they survive in the swamp, specifically the martial arts they use to survive.
And we're also going to talk about creative process and why you need it. And if you think you are not a creative person, we're going to show you how to develop your creativity. So stay to the end if you want to find out.
So talking about the Croco Hunters, they all have their own purpose, their own calling in the tribe, and the Croco Hunters follow a specific way of life to help the tribe. The Croco Hunters are almost like the martial order within the tribe. They hunt the great crocodiles and bring back the meat, but it's also a way to develop the young men and turn them into fighting warriors capable of handling the dangers found within the swamp. So the young men wanting to become Croco Hunters have to go through rigorous training before they even set out on their journey to bring back the crocodiles. As you can see in this image that Lena did, they have a specific way of hunting the crocodiles as a team, working together, all having different roles. We've done extensive research and used the latest science to figure out where the best way is to stab a crocodile, apparently in the back of the neck, according to the Hunter video game. And the greatest crocodile hunter of them all happens to be the tribal chief. Lena, do you want to tell us a bit more about this guy as we all play the art process that Lena did to create him?
So he's the strongest male fighter in the tribe, and he's also the father of the young female that we showed earlier on in the videos. However, he is actually not following the traditions of the tribe or ghost elves in general. And because for ghost elves, they are really proud of their hair that is sort of mane-like hair, and he purposely shaving the sides of it, just leaving mohawk to show almost his disrespect to the traditions and show that he doesn't believe in those superstitions. He's more like a rational guy. But why he's not following those traditions, we're gonna talk about it later, and that will be connected with the creative process as well. I started this video differently. I used the sienna background as a starting point, as you could see on the video, and then paint it over, but you can also see the glowing red underneath. I really like it.
Because that's like an old school technique, right? Used with the actual traditional oil paintings and stuff.
Yeah. So in the past it was more of the sienna or browns to create the first layer of the painting. Now it almost goes to reds sometimes, or this kind of burning brown. And I really like this effect because it gives extra glow to the painting, and I really want to use it more. So far we talked about the grandfather, father, and the daughter, but we also want to talk about the son. So this is the image that shows him coming of age, and it's not just, of course, a simple tradition for the tribe. It's actually the test that they all have to pass to prove that they are capable of surviving in these hard conditions. Because he's the son of the chief, there's also an extra pressure on him because he doesn't want to let down his father.
Now what's this weapon he's got in his hand there, Lena?
Yeah, so I was thinking that they obviously using the things that they can get from what they hunt and create weapons out of them. So this is a combination of teeth and claws of the crocodiles, but this is a smaller one to hunt young crocodiles because he's a young guy, so he's not expected to hunt the giant ones here.
All right, and it also ties into them being climbers and getting up into the canopies when there's danger, using these as grapple hooks as well.
This is the son of the chief, and this is his first test, what we can call coming out of age. But of course it's not coming out of age just, but also a test that he can survive in this harsh environment.
So now we've talked about this family, the father, the daughter, the son, and that mischievous grandfather with the great legs. But what has happened to the mother? We're going to talk about that after we go through the creative process.
So why do you need creativity? This is because if you're interested in role-playing games, creativity is a vital thing to develop your own worlds or play inside someone's campaign or be in a GM. Of course, you can follow the rule book, but when things go sideways, things becomes more fun. When players feel that they are on the rails, they lose the immersion, the interest, the motivation, because they feel like doesn't matter what they do, the result will be the same. When I was learning English, I was watching a lot of TED Talks, and this is my favorite TED Talk ever. It's by Sir Ken Robinson, and he's actually a professor, but he's not a boring professor. He's funny. He's like a comedian. You should watch it, and we're just going to show a tiny clip for you to get a glimpse of it, but I really encourage you to go and watch the whole video. It's just going to change your mind forever, and then you will understand that we all are super creative people.
I love telling it of a little girl who was in a drawing lesson. She was 6 and she was at the back drawing, and the teacher said this little girl hardly ever paid attention, and in this drawing lesson she did. And the teacher was fascinated. She went over to her and she said, "What are you drawing?" And the girl said, "I'm drawing a picture of God." And the teacher said, "But nobody knows what God looks like." And the girl said, "They will in a minute." I want to talk about education, and I want to talk about creativity. My contention is that creativity now is as important in education as literacy, and we should treat it with the same status. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is actually an old video from 2006, and he predicted the future. He was saying that creativity should be put on the top of all the subjects, but in education nothing changed, unfortunately. So Sir Ken Robinson believes that we're all born super creative, and it's been gradually killed by our upbringing and education.
And how is this creativity being destroyed? It's because as kids we've been told to find the right answer, whereas with using our creativity there can be hundreds of answers. And kids are creative because they're not afraid to be wrong. This is just taught to them as they grow older.
The links to his videos are below. Watch them, they're amazing.
So how the creative process works for us is we all bounce ideas off each other. We could be standing around organising our coffees and hot chocolates in the kitchen, and we'll throw a few what-ifs at each other. So we encourage you to find a creative partner. It's a great way of growing a creative idea.
This practice comes from my advertising background that uses the power of two, a copywriter and art director. This is a usual practice in advertising, and this believed to be the most productive, because if there are 3 people, then this whole process might be driven by personalities or politeness when everyone's waiting for someone else to say a word. But when there are only 2 people, they bounce this ball of ideas towards each other all the time. And as you can imagine, copywriter and art director think very differently. Copywriter in words, art director in images. And combining those 2 different perspectives on the same problem helps to create the best ideas. Of course, it doesn't have to be so strict, and it could be just people with a wider knowledge and wider outlook on life, because the more different perspective you have on the same problem, the better ideas will be.
And you have to think that no idea is bad or stupid. There should be a safe space between the 2 of you where you feel you can throw out whatever you want. The worst ideas or the dumbest ones often lead to a springboard that you build on as you're still bouncing this ball, and you end up coming up with the best ideas because it was such a tangent that other people haven't even considered. And if you're by yourself, I think Dungeons & Dragons players are perfectly suited to playing 2 different personalities, playing with an idea. You could take 2 of your characters. One could be the smart, cunning rogue, and the other could be the logical wizard. And you'll take an idea and see how each of them approach it and come up with something. Maybe even throw in other of your characters to get different angles. Edward de Bono mentioned wearing different hats for solving problems, and I think as Dungeons and Dragons players we should wear our different characters to see if we can come up with solutions.
Divergent thinking isn't the same thing as creativity. I define creativity as the process of having original ideas that have value. Divergent thinking isn't a synonym, but it's an essential capacity for creativity. It's the ability to see lots of possible answers to a question, lots of possible ways of interpreting a question, to think what Edward de Bono would probably call laterally, to think not just in linear or convergent ways, to see multiple answers, not one. So, I mean, there are tests for this. I mean, one kind of cod example would be people might be asked to say, how many uses can you think of for a paperclip? One of those routine questions. Most people might come up with 10 or 15. People who are good at this might come up with 200. And they do that by saying, well, could the paperclip be 200 foot tall and be made out of foam rubber? You know, like, does it have to be a paperclip as we know it, Jim? You know. Now, there are tests for this, and they gave them to 1,500 people. This is in a book called Breakpoint and Beyond. And on the protocol of the test, if you scored above a certain level, you'd be considered to be a genius at divergent thinking. Okay? So my question to you is, what percentage of the people tested, of the 1,500, scored at genius level for divergent thinking? Now, you need to know one more thing about them. These were kindergarten children. So what do you think? What percentage at genius level? 80. 80, okay. 98%. Now, the thing about this was it was a longitudinal study. So they retested the same children 5 years later, age of 8 to 10. What do you think? 50? They retested them again 5 years later, ages 13 to 15. You can see a trend here, can't you? Now, this tells an interesting story, because you could have imagined it going the other way, couldn't you? You start off not being very good, but you get better as you get older. But this shows two things. One is we all have this capacity, and two, it mostly deteriorates.
And we're going to try to reenact one of our creative sessions about this specific images that you just seen, and just forgive us for real bad acting, because we're not actors, obviously.
So here we are. You've created the father, the son, the daughter, and that wiry little grandfather. But where's the mother?
Yeah, that's a problem. I haven't thought about. I mean, I have thought about it, but.
God damn it, Lena! Shall we just do we need a mother? Shall we just kill her off? But what would that entail? How did she die?
Maybe she was a shaman as well.
Left behind in the old swamp.
Or maybe she came back later on because she wanted to learn more, just how the girl is doing right now, her daughter, and that's why her father disproves
That's
her.
why her father doesn't want her to be a shaman, because he knows the mother went to the old swamp and never came back.
Yeah.
And the son is out there hunting, and you've this person in the background, Lena.
Oh my god. This is his mother.
It's his mother.
Oh my god.
And that's why she's hunting him, because she wants to. Her whole thing was to go back, stop the swamp corruption, so she could bring her family back into the old swamp.
Yeah.
And now she's twisted and corrupted. She's still trying to do that by pulling her son back into the old swamp.
The truth is that this image I actually drawn this way with this character, the background, because Matt told me, why are you always drawing portraits? I need a landscape image for the thumbnail. Could you just put something like expand it and put something in the background? Maybe he's fishing or something. And I was like, oh, fishing, I don't want to fishing. So I was like, oh, I'm going to put some sort of another, how do they call them?
Sorrow keeper
at the background. And then this came.
Yeah. In scene.
Who would know? But that's how the creative process works for us, because
it's just starting off with what ifs and the other person answering and then you come back with another what if, especially to make sure things work. You just don't want to agree with everything. You'll say, what if she is the sorrow keeper? What's the timeline like? Does that work in the timeline and stuff like that? So you have to ask a lot of what ifs, and eventually you're left with a solid, strong idea that you've thoroughly explored by attacking it from all sorts of angles.
Thank you guys for sticking around with us for so long and watching this video to the very end. Please leave the comments below. Tell us if you're going to use or try at least to use these methods, or maybe you have your own methods that you're using. Share, please share.
And all the details for the Swamp of Souls are going to be included below if you want to follow our progress on that. Thanks again, guys. We'll catch you for the next episode. Bye.
Bye.